Hey, what's up, everybody? Atlantean Lightmaster back with another attack. Got another video for you guys to check out. I really think you're going to enjoy it. It's called the Mad Hatter's Deduction. It's been a long time in coming, as I've been in school this semester, and now that the semester's over, I can start making videos again. So this is the first one, and I hope that you enjoy it. Let's take a look. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Mad Hatter's Deduction presentation. As you can see, I used the play on words of Disney's Mad Hatter in Alice in Wonderland, because he was just so darn crazy. But you know, there's often a method to the madness. So let's check it out. Ever notice how atheists will make the claim that the existence of God doesn't make any sense, and that therefore his existence can't be the case? Just because something doesn't seem rational doesn't necessarily make it a false premise. Remember, there is a distinction to be made between veridical and falsidical paradoxes. A veridical paradox is one it's a paradox that seems invalid, but it is in fact a true statement. A falsidical paradox is one that seems invalid and is in fact a false statement. Okay, so you have to make that distinction. And once you do that, and we will get to the examples, but it is therefore logically possible to make claims that do not seem true, and which seem to bear no concrete evidence for being true, but which are nonetheless true statements. It is this sort of situation which defines the structure of the Mad Hatter's deduction. Observe that there is historical precedent for this kind of scenario. What I use is the airplane analogy. Now, you can start with the ancient Greeks, because, you know, man has always dreamed of flying. Always. And it's only been here recently that we've acquired the ability to actually master flight and to prove that it was possible to fly, and that it wasn't just fantasy. To, you know, whenever people in history said, oh no, it's really possible, like man can fly, we just don't know how to do it, like we'll figure it out one day, only to be shot down, you know, by the then current wisdom of the time that would say that it wasn't possible. So here we see the Da Vinci connection. There's the Archimedes screw, and Da Vinci was, you know, just trying to figure out how flight could be possible. And so just because something isn't obviously the case doesn't mean that we should give up on its truthhood. The world needs people who are not afraid to dream and to be called crazy for their beliefs by everyone around them. Whether it is from a scientific or a religious perspective, you know, because there's persecution all the way around, it doesn't matter. The truth is the truth. Now, imagine there are statements in the world that have already been made which seem utterly ridiculous. Statements like, it is possible to travel faster than light. It is possible to travel through time. It is possible to travel to other universes. It is possible to travel to divine realms. Statements like these, and others, too numerous to recount, seem heretical to the scientific establishment of today. But really, what do we know of certainty unless we know everything? I would submit to you that we owe a great deal of you know, honor and prestige and recognition to those visionaries who dared to swim against the current. It may be that the voices in the wilderness that proclaimed the love of God and things such as that beautiful statement will be vindicated one day, because as I've stated in previous videos, I believe God is natural. That's NP2, in which case it is actually possible to discover whether God truly exists. So, and if so, then faith may ultimately be met with absolute certainty. Let's, so that we don't get confused, let's really look at what's going on with why the Mad Hatter's deduction makes sense. So we're going to look at the fallacy that the people, let's look closer at the fallacy that's being committed by those in history who assumed the flight was impossible prior to the flight of the Wright brothers, which we will take, just for the sake of simplicity, we're going to take that as the first concrete worldwide knowledge that manned flight was possible. So then you say that they were basically saying all the previous attempts at manned flight have been failures, therefore manned flight is not possible. That's a fallacy. Okay? Just because man didn't figure out how to fly from the Greeks to the Middle Ages doesn't mean that you were justified in the Middle Ages. I mean, well, you were circumstantially justified, but if you look at it purely logically, it's a fallacy. It was a fallacy any time that you would make the statement that just because all previous attempts at manned flight have been failures, that it's not possible for man to fly. I mean, it's basically that old adage of, oh, if man were meant to fly, he would have been born with wings, and that's just not that's just faulty logic. And the analog to it for getting the Mad Hatter's deduction pointed in the direction of the existence of God is to say that all the previous attempts to define the existence of God have failed. Therefore, God cannot be properly defined, and therefore probably doesn't exist. It's that same mindset that just sees all the failures, and then tries to limit all of the failures as the only as a complete set. They're saying that that's like the full and complete method. So it's just not true. If at first you don't succeed, try again. Just an anecdote. Some anecdotes over here. We do not have sufficient evidence to categorically rule out such maddening possibilities, so you always have to keep the door open. I mean, who knows what the future holds? Avoid hasty generalizations. Do not deny the antecedent, which is what I believe this is doing here. Do not make premature conclusions, at any rate. So, and here I have some possible sources for the previous failings, because they're either going to be due to an improper technique, whether it's flying, proving the existence of God, proving that the world is a sphere instead of a flat plane. I mean, there's all kinds of things that, heck, whenever the Eurocentric view of the universe got overturned, and then there was the heliocentric, and then they discovered that not even the sun was the center of the universe. So we keep pushing our knowledge forward. There's paradigm shift after paradigm shift, but after each paradigm you get comfortable and lulled into a false sense of security that's the only that's the final paradigm shift that's going to take place, and that's just a false sense of security. There's so much more that we don't know, and so much more that we will know in the future. That's what I believe. And so my advice, keep on believing. Keep pushing the envelope. Fantastic vindications are on the horizon.